And so Sylvia went away for a long time, and I heard about her. We worked together, we became friends, and she's got an amazing story, and I want y'all to know who she is. And I just want y'all to know who she is for all my comedians to understand it is a fucking fight. But you gotta get in it. If you are serious about it, you gotta get in it. My bestie is here today, and unless she's gonna come up later, but one thing she said that I'll never forget, you have to love this thing so much that if you could not do it, you'd rather die. That's how much you have to love this. And this lady loves this game. She got out, she got back in, and she's here today. And I want to give her her flowers before she fucking died. And I know we play with death. Black people don't play with death. But guess what? As sure as you live, you're going to get up out this motherfucker. We might as well laugh about this shit. We all going to get the fuck up out of here, okay? So, it ain't nothing. If you say that ain't gonna die tomorrow, no, motherfucker, death gonna make it die tomorrow. What the fuck is that? Me saying it ain't gonna do it, shit. But she here today, and I love her. I love her so much. She came all the way from D.C., and we brought her in, and I want to give her her flowers, and I want her to tell her story. She's an amazing, amazing little lady. Y'all put your hands together for Living Icon of the Year award goes to my girl, Sylvia Traymore Morrison. Show us a little. Thank you so much, Hope. Thank you so very much. So much. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Sylvia Traymore Morrison. I'm originally from Washington, D.C. I did my very first professional show in Washington at Constitution Hall in 1969. Celebrating 52 years in comedy. And I want you guys to know, when I first started doing comedy, I didn't see anybody that looked like me, other than Mom's Maid. Other than Mom's Maid. It's 52 years ago. And I remember there were no platforms, there were no black clubs. One or two white clubs didn't want nobody to look like me, especially a woman. They would ask me, why do you even want to do comedy? And I remember I saw on television on the Flip Wilson show, many of you may not know who that is. But these 4 black girls came out, they were so gorgeous. And they were representatives from the Miss Black America pageant. And they were on the Flip Wilson show. And I said, I'm going to get in that pageant. And I did. And I tied for first place. I tied first place with a girl by the name of Bernadette Stannis. Good times, Bernadette Stannis. And that night that we did the finals, she got the card to come and audition for Good Times. And they sent me to Europe to entertain the American troops from the Vietnam War. I meant to say this before I even got started to tell you guys this, that I'm in tears tonight seeing these women come up on this stage and represent, but there was nobody out there for me. I didn't have a friend that I could call and say, meet me at the club. There was nothing. So when I was in Europe entertaining the troops, there was a guy back here who said, wait a minute, she's an impressionist? We don't have any impressionists. And the newspapers and the radio shows and the television shows, they were talking about these black women over in Europe entertaining the troops. And this one girl did impressions. And he said, I want to meet her. And that guy who told them when I got back to the States to fly me to LA was a guy by the name of Red Fox. They also got to keep in mind, ladies and gentlemen, that back then there weren't that that many black women on TV. So all of the people that I did were white girls. Okay? They were mostly white girls. Until, of course, Diana Ross came along. And Tina Turner was doing her thing. And Dionne Warwick started doing her thing. So I added to my list of women that I could do impressions of. And then I started doing men. And I heard that, I was living in New York, I moved to New York, I heard that Muhammad Ali was coming to town because they were roasting him. And everybody who was anybody was going to be at that roast. I had to be there, uninvited. And you want to talk about a struggle? Let me tell you something, ladies and gentlemen. Back then, I created dreams and followed through. I said I was going to bust the roast. I was going to crash the roast as a black Ruth Bussey. And for those of you that don't know who Ruth Bussey is, she was on a show called Laughing. And she was a white girl that hit this white man every time he got fresh with her. So I was going to go as a black Ruth Bussey and get fresh with Muhammad Ali, but not really fresh, because you can't get nowhere near it. But God had another plan. I got a call. They said, Richard Pryor is not coming to the roast to host. Mr. Dick Gregory can't get nobody. So the girl that was in the Miss Black America pageant with me was good friends with Dick Gregory. She said, if you get Sylvia Traymore, I promise you, the roast will be magnificent. I didn't have to crash the roast. I'm the first woman, period, to ever host a major roast. Oh, God. And it was that night of the roast that Garrett Morris came to me from Saturday Night Live. He said, you got to meet my boss. He's going to love you. And I did impressions. I'm going to do one impression for y'all right now, just to say you'll know. But that's what I do. Because if Whoopi Goldberg was here, this is what Whoopi would say. You know, I had an epiphany earlier. Garrett Morris took me to NBC and signed me on the spot. He hadn't even seen me, but he heard about the roast. I did Muhammad Ali that night. It was the first time I did a man in front of a man. And Ali was sitting there with his wonderful, huge, gigantic, big man that got himself made. I'm telling you, Ali had on his suit at that time in 1979 had to be worth at least $4,000. That's a lot of money back then. And he stood there. And I looked at him and I said, Mr. Ali, I'm going to bring you right out, but I have something I want to share with you. And I did my impression of him. And I can do it tonight because I don't have that much time, but I'm just saying, Lauren Michael hired me on the spot as a writer for Saturday Night Live. As an associate writer. Let me make sure I get that. But anyway, I want to hurry up and get through because, you know. So here we are. I'm working for Saturday Night Live. I don't get any work. It's the same story that you get black people tell. You know, but I was the first black girl they brought in. Okay, the first one. So now, I'm going to move forward because I was at home one night and Whitney Houston was at the Water Theater. Biggest thing ever. And I get a call and they said, Sylvia, the opening act didn't show up. Can you come down here and open for Whitney? Got down there in record time. The show started at 8. They called me at 20 minutes to 8. I was on stage at 8:03. And when we finished, the Washington Post did a review. And they said the standing ovations were for me. And I knew 3 of them were mine. I was so happy. Wait a minute. So Whitney comes to me after the show. And she walks up to me and she said, you know what? Want to go on the road? I'm going to take you with me. I'm going to take you with me. And she kept her promise. She took me to 23 major United States cities. Okay, so now I'm going to fast forward. Because it's been just amazing, ladies and gentlemen. Like Hope said, I quit for a minute, but I didn't quit. I was in D.C. doing comedy shows all over the place, but I didn't do my national and international traveling. I just stayed home because I had babies, I was raising my kids. Anyway, so I'm hired to host the Play Awards in Las Vegas. And I go out to Las Vegas and, I'm doing the Play Awards. And I see a friend of mine who's from D.C. He said, I went to see Monique tonight and she's going to let me open for her and do 5 minutes on stage. I said, let me go and support my folks. Let me go and support. I called George Wallace. Well, I didn't call her. Chris Thomas, the mayor of Rhapsody, called George Wallace and said, you got to see Sylvia Traymore. You got to see her. So I was going to go see George, but since Jesus was on the Monique show, I went to see Monique. And y'all got to put your seatbelts on, because I'm getting ready to tell you something. I'm getting ready to tell you something. So I go, Chris calls Rodney Perry, who I love with everything I have. Rodney Perry. Rodney says, send her on, so, because he was hosting for Monique in Vegas that night. So he sees me, we sit down and talk, and I tell him something about history, and he said, oh my God, Sylvia, Monique gonna love you. She's gonna love you. So sure enough, after her show, it was amazing. Her show was off the chain. She came over to me after Rodney told her that I was here, and she looked at me with tears in her eyes, and this is what she said. Hi, Miss Sylvia. I want you to know my show, my baby. That I didn't know it, I don't know you. I've never heard of you and I feel so bad. And she started crying. She said, come on back in my dressing room. So she took me back in the dressing room, and I'm going to tell y'all this, and then I'm going to leave. Because I think this is so unbelievably important. I've already seen her fighting for her life with Netflix, and many of us laying her on the ground about it. And I said to myself, they don't know this, people like me, whose first job, I didn't get paid for the first 10 years I was in comedy. My first payment in comedy was a Coca-Cola. And I was opening for Elaine Boozler. My second show that I got paid for in comedy, I got that same Coca-Cola and $5. So I don't need nobody coming to tell me anything about getting paid, how you're not going to do this, because I did 10 years for y'all. I gave them 10 years. But anyway, so Monique, wait, I gotta hurry up. Monique takes me back to her dressing room, right? Her entire team is there. Her hairdresser, makeup artist, road manager, security, everybody was in there. And she set a chair down, and then she set a chair in front of me. She said, Miss Sylvia, have a seat, sugar. I sat down, and she looked at me and she said, have you ever heard of Laura Brogan? So I said, no, I don't think so. She said, she came out years ago and I've been promoting her at all my shows. This woman was cursing before we even knew anything about cursing. And she said to me, she said, let me tell you this, Miss Sylvia. I'm going to tell you right now. Laura Brogan, and she looked at all her staff, and she said, didn't we just talk about this morning? She said, Laura Brogan came to me. Oh, y'all, this is real deep. This is deep. This is deep. This is deep. She said, Laura Brogan came to her that morning and told her, Monique, you don't have to worry about promoting me, honey. She said, I'm going to send you who you need to promote. Yeah. And she said, and Miss Sylvia, you walked in the door, and her eyes and her face, she cried, and she said, it is my duty going forward, sugar. It's my duty. I'm going to talk about you everywhere I go. So if you look at her interviews, she'll come out and she'll mention it. And I'm telling you, it was an absolute honor and pleasure. So when leaving, I'd like to do one more impression, if it's okay. Just one. Leave. So you got people like Wendy Williams, who comes out and tells you a thing or two. So this is Wendy Williams to Hope Flood. Oh my God. You do it. Okay, so get this. Hope Flood does this Comedy Rocks convention, right? And you know,
come tonight. I had Michelle Obama and Melania Trump in the back, but they were a little shy about coming out, you know? How you doing? So anyway, I do. I just want to take this opportunity to tell Hope Flood that she gives up everything she's got to make this thing work. And she's a working comedian, you know? Okay. And Hope, I have one person I want to come out here and sing you a scat song, baby. Okay? For those of you who know the legendary, the amazing Ella Fitzgerald, who's the scat queen, and she'll tell you quick, scatting is rapping and rapping is scatting. Ladies and gentlemen, here she is, Miss Ella Fitzgerald. With me next year. You guys are amazing. If you didn't know about me before now, and you never heard of me, here I am.
Ladies and gentlemen, y'all give it up one more time. Legend.
Y'all give it up, man. That's an icon right there. If any of you ever called my phone and you heard the voicemail with Wendy Williams, that's who did it. Right there, the queen. Sylvia Traymore Morrison, baby.
Yes, indeed. Y'all show us some love one more time.
Yes, give it up, y'all.